Welcome to episode number 219 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on March 4, 2018. A ton of things to talk about this week. Among them, video activism, baby testimonials, endangered species apparel, emoji activists, voice-activated gaming, reversed sexist ads, AP's sitting Shiva, bookmarked tweets, historian branding, infographic segmentation, amateur political rap, simultaneous tweets, and the perils of social publishing. Started off with the best stories of the week, and BL has the honors. Kick it off, BL. What was the best story of the week?
Well, sadly, the best story of the week is a PSA made by the students from Parkland High School. And, you know, these kids are channeling their grief into activism. And this one will get you right between the eyes. The line that got me really was, what if the children of America become more powerful than our politicians? And it's a 1-minute video. It will be in the show notes. And it's one of the most effective things I have perhaps ever seen, but, you know, it just breaks your heart that they have to do what they're doing. And it astounds me that they do it as well as they do. You know, these are kids who grew up understanding the internet, and they understand it better than the politicians that they're trying to get the attention of. And some of what they're doing is just so remarkable. And this is beyond anything I've seen, and it's for the March for Our Lives later this month.
It is pretty remarkable what they've done. The tide has turned in sentiment, at least public sentiment, in terms of reasonable, common sense gun control. You're seeing, you know, pressure. Basically, you can't get anything through Congress because the NRA basically controls that process. So where do you put pressure? And you put it through public pressure, public opinion, and consumer activism. And I said not long ago in a meeting at work that I think brands are being forced to take sides in political and social issues these days. This is a classic example of that, with all the companies basically taking away their discounts for the NRA members and deciding not to. Dick's coming out and saying they weren't going to be selling AR-15s and would not sell guns to anyone below 21 years of age. These things are, you know, some of these things are insignificant and cost those companies nothing, but the public
appreciates them.
The public appreciates them, and it's not nothing.
Well, but so, what astonishes me is, you know, a little child will lead them, and these kids are going to vote, and many of them are going to vote in 2018. And so all we have to do is vote them out, and the kids will lead the way.
Well, I mean, and often you talk about you talk about the idealism of youth dismissively, right? Like it's
not anymore.
Idealist, and they you don't really understand the real world. But this is a case where their idealism is actually working. So this is great. Not nearly as heavy, but it's a fantastic commercial I saw. I think I saw it. It was on a cable show I was watching. It's by a company called Nectar Sleep. They're a mattress company, and they took their user reviews and brought them to life in a very clever way by putting adult heads on the bodies of adorable babies who are on their mattresses. And so the adults are basically telling their testimonials and their reviews, but it's with babies, adult heads on babies, and it drives home the point perfectly clearly that on these mattresses you will sleep like a baby. So the video was uploaded to YouTube on February 27, not long ago, and it's already got 68,000 views. So we'll embed that in show notes so you can watch it on beyondsocialmediashow.com/219.
You know, that's funny, but I always hate when they use babies in commercials, especially if they have the children doing the reading, but this sounds funny. I'll watch this
It
later.
is funny. It's very clever and very well done. And I usually don't say that about ads because a lot of
I
that's really
know, but speaking of clever, Lacoste, Izod's Lacoste, has temporarily retired the crocodile for a series of limited edition polo shirts that have threatened species in the crocodile spot as the logo. And at $150 a shirt, they sold out in a matter of minutes. And the brilliance of it is that the number of shirts printed for each endangered species was the same number as the amount of that species is left in the wild. So it drives home the point of how few of these animals are left. And by buying a shirt, you participate in helping to fight for wildlife conservation worldwide. Very clever and very effective and also adorable.
that's a very clever idea. So 2018, new year, new emojis. We've got new emojis coming out. This is from a Business Insider article by Avery Hartmans and Emojipedia's Jeremy Burge. Emojipedia has the list of the new emojis, and there are 157 individual emojis total. They include some skin tone and gender variations, so ultimately there's 69 unique symbols. But some of the highlights include a broom. And so what are you going to use a broom for? I know I'm going to use it when my Minnesota Twins sweep a series against an opposing team.
That's so corny.
Perfect. Firecracker. Oh, snap goes the dynamite. Freezing face. Minnesotans will be all over that, of course. Red-haired people will be happy. There's a roll of toilet paper. So I imagine there's some pairing you could do with a pile of poop in the toilet paper. Superheroes and supervillains, and a woozy face. I've been actually using, a lot of people kind of dismiss the emojis, but I've been using them a lot in tweets and in Instagram updates, where I find they just the fact of the visual will draw more people's attention. So those are kind of fun.
Well, speaking of new things, Pokemon is now got Alexa and Snapchat. This is from a mobile marketer's story by Robert Williams. And, you know, if you haven't been paying, we talk about this all the time. If you haven't been paying attention to the marketing implications of voice-enabled platforms, listen up, folks, because Pokemon, in their 22nd anniversary, they're recognizing the first debut of the Pokemon games in Japan in 1996. And so now they have a Pikachu-themed app for voice assistants, Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, and a limited edition Snapchat lenses, which are adorable. And Pikachu Talk lets aspiring Pokemon trainers chat with the little yellow creature on Alexa-enabled devices in all countries and on Google Assistant devices in the US. Once the skill is enabled, you can ask Pikachu questions, and though his responses include non-English exclamations like Pika and Pika, you know, you can still talk to him. And the Snapchat lenses let you decorate your photos with Pokemon-themed emoji and effects. And the first lens features effects by the four-legged Bulbasaur character, followed by Charmander and Squirtle in the next few days. I love Squirtle. And Pikachu responds to conversations on Amazon Alexa and Google Assistants with a limited vocabulary, but it'll probably grow. There's always next year. And so all of this is now online. And, you know, what a great way to celebrate a 22nd anniversary. Update your brand.
That's very cool. Very cool. Though we should have, I'm guilty of it all the time, but you were just egregiously guilty of it this time. A rule that we say Amazon Echo instead of Amazon, so we don't accidentally activate people's devices. I apologize, everybody, for activating your device.
Oh, I thought I was doing that.
So this I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but had other stuff to talk about. So now we're talking about it. There's a great BuzzFeed article by Crystal Rowe who writes about Eli Rezkala, who is a 31-year-old visual artist and photographer who created a photo series entitled In a Parallel Universe that reimagines sexist print ads from the 50s and 60s with the gender roles reversed. They're brilliant. So the original, it compares the original print with a side-by-side of the photographic recreation. There's a Hardee's ad of a woman in her kitchen with her leg up, and she's looking out the window, and there's a classic 50s guy with his fedora and his business suit holding up his daughter. She's looking at him through the window, and the caption reads, "Don't leave the kitchen." And that's just gender role reversed. So the man is in the kitchen and the woman's out in professional dress holding up the kid. There's a Schlitz ad that says, "Don't worry, darling, you didn't burn the beer." So condescending ad there. And then there's the Van Heusen ad, really sexist ad. Show her it's a man's world, where it's a man in bed with a woman serving him breakfast in bed, and that's reversed. You take a look at these; it's a brilliant contrast, compare and contrast, but also kind of shocking at how sexist some of these ads were.
Oh, there are such a horrible examples. There really are. So this week, Associated Press had the correction of the week. It's from a Washington Post story by Eddie Scoury. And oy vey, the title might have been "Why You Should Not Fire Your Copy Editors." Associated Press had to issue a correction on Monday to a report from last week in which the Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel was quoted as saying he had visited the homes of high school shooting victims where they sit and shiver. Apparently, he meant to say where they're sitting shiva, a reference to the Jewish tradition of mourning. And so ever so helpfully, when I posted the story on Twitter and said, oy vey, Twitter offered to translate it from Turkish. Go figure.
Well, I don't know how to transition in that one, but
what could there be?
Yeah, we have a new. We've been talking about Twitter bookmarks coming, and they finally arrived. So, Marketing Land's Amy Gessenhues writes about it. They've now rolled out to everyone. It's a new, nice feature. Bookmarks are private. It's basically a save for later function. You can delete them after you've added them. It's useful for bookmarking stories that I want to read about later that are too long to read, or I might want to write about. Bookmarking talking points for a podcast from an article. But I'm wondering whether there will be, since it's a private feature, whether it will be used by Twitter at all for visibility signals. But right now it's not profound, very simple, but very useful new feature on Twitter.
It is useful. Does that bring us to the worst stories of the week?
Nope. I got another two more good ones, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
So
coming up.
So how do you brand a historian, BL?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I think here's the formula. You start by writing best-selling history books. Then you land a spot as a resident history commentator on a national news network, and then you're basically Michael Beschloss. So at that point, what do? Beschloss is great because he shares this day in history posts on Twitter. So this is how you brand yourself on Twitter if you're a historian. He shares every day. There's several actually history posts that are related to what's going on. Some are inspiring, like today's. There was Abraham Lincoln's handwritten inaugural appeal in 1861 to the better angels of our nature. Most are very timely. There was Andrew Johnson became the first president of the United States to be impeached 150 years ago. And there are some cautionary tales. So there's a New York Times headline from 1974 that said federal grand jury indicts 7 Nixon aides on charges of conspiracy on Watergate. But it's great. Every day there's something new. He always picks out a great graphic, and it's always timely. And for history buffs, a great Twitter account to follow.
And here we have to hope that history will repeat itself on the impeachment score.
If history would hurry up.
Yeah, it's.
The other one I've got is this is a great example of how to do an infographic. This is from HubSpot. Caroline Forsey writes about it. It's for an article. It's not actually, it's an example. She doesn't write about infographic marketing, but the article is titled, "Here's What Your Subscribers Really Think About These Email Strategies." And the infographic is related to that topic, obviously. The post features at first what appears to be a full-sized single infographic, but when you look at it, it's actually 11 separate graphics. There's a header, a footer, and 9 separate segments on different aspects of email, of how people react to your emails. And so the virtue of that is you can take the header and the footer and make basically 10 different separate infographics out of segmenting your design of your infographic that way. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. You can take a look, but it's a great example of how to do an infographic. Now on to the worst.
Smart, because people are always sending me infographics and they're like 4 miles long.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't, if I cut them up, I lose some of the interactivity of it. Yeah. So that brings us to worst news.
There you go.
All right. Well, this is definitely one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. This is from a Washington Post story by Eli Rosenberg. For some unfathomable reason, Utah's state Republican-controlled House of Representatives decided to do a rap video, ostensibly to show citizens how a bill becomes law, set to the beat of Will Smith's The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I probably don't even need to tell you how horrible it was, or how little rhythm these 20-something lawmakers have, or how dismal the rhymes are. And even in an era of awful amateur videos made by people with no clue, it stands out for how awkward and ill-fitting they look, doing a cheap send-up of what they thought a rap video would be like. And their attempt, this is my favorite quote, their attempt at their hip-hop supremacy is the legislative equivalent of failing to make it out of committee. And that's what the Salt Lake Tribune deadpanned about them. So as Rosenberg points out, what's interesting about it is that this horrible video shows how far rap has traveled into our culture. And, you know, it's, I mean, sad that this is what it became. But the group Run for Something, which formed after Trump's election with a mission to recruit candidates who are young Democratic candidates for the next election, said if you live in Utah and realize that the least problematic part of this rap video is every Utah state legislator's lack of flow, please #Run for Something. We will help you. So, it's a god-awful video. We'll put it in the show notes. Thankfully, it's only a minute long.
Bad political theater, right?
Terrible.
So my worst, BL, we talked about before the show started. BL asked me how my week went, and I was like, awful, because I'm trying to figure out Twitter's new prohibitions against simultaneous tweets. Now, I understand why they did that. They did that so basically what Twitter has done is they are going to prohibit you through their API from tweeting simultaneously the same tweet or a substantially similar tweet to multiple accounts at the same time. And so we use Hootsuite, and what I've done is often tweet the same account to several different Twitter accounts that I have, because they're all about marketing, but they're about marketing in different aspects of marketing. So I can't do that anymore. And that's I'm trying to figure out how to adjust, basically. So what I've got is I used to share simultaneously to my personal account. I have a eStrategy account, which is basically a fire hose of everything that I tweeted. I've got a daily numbers, which is statistics, marketing stats and trends. We've got our Karwoski Encourage PR agency account that I tweet to, the Beyond Social Media Show podcast account, and I've got a Reputation algorithm where I shared stories about how algorithms affect our reputations. But now I've got to more sharply define what those accounts are. So I'm using my personal account, more public relations, technical types of topics, politics and sports. My e-strategy account I've turned into e-strategy of Academy, which is educational and how-to marketing articles. The daily numbers is strictly marketing stats and research. Karwowski and Courage hasn't changed. That's our agency account, so that's public relations and leadership stuff. Beyond Social Media Show, I haven't been simultaneously sharing. I still got to figure that out. And then Reputation Algorithm is the same. But between all the accounts, what I've done is tried to break down the hours of the day into 5-minute increments and decide what to share when. And because I also simultaneously share to my LinkedIn and other social accounts, and I don't want those getting, I've got to sync everything basically, and I can't do it anymore. So what I've done is I'm using Hootsuite to schedule some stuff and using TweetDeck to schedule retweets from other accounts so that they don't overlap and so that I'm not violating Twitter's terms of service. But it's a mess, and I can't complain because basically they're trying to control bots and Russian trolls and stuff. But I'm still trying to figure out, and it's taking way longer than I used to.
Well, on the one hand, I like that we have been able to do that, but given that this is a way to control Russian bots, I hope you don't figure it out too soon, Dave.
Well, I think it's a smart move by them. Basically, the terms are you can't simultaneously tweet the same exact tweet or substantially similar content.
Right.
Or tweet you can't do it within, like, there's a 3-day period. So if I tweeted the same tweet one day and then 4 days later tweet the same tweet, then that's not an issue. What's an issue is the simultaneous behavior that draws the activity that makes something trend, basically. Right. We don't have enough volume to do that, but that's what bots do. So
well, when you figure it out, you'll write a post about it.
Well, yes.
The Kremlin will thank you. So Facebook has done something bad. They have an algorithm that has wiped out a once flourishing digital publisher, and that digital publisher was Little Things. This is from a Business Insider story by Mike Shields. And, we've talked often about this. If you are basing your business on someone else's platform, sooner or later, you're going to be bitten by it. And that's what happened here. But Little Things is a woman-focused publisher, and they're shutting their doors. And they're saying that the CEO, Joe Spicer, told Business Insider that it's because of Facebook's algorithm that their traffic just tanked. And A Little Thing's demise was first reported by Digiday's Lucia Moses, who tweeted, "Oh, the cruelty of algorithms." And since it launched in 2014, Little Things had amassed over 12 million Facebook followers. And its videos, which I'll have an example of in the show notes, regularly generated thousands and sometimes millions of viewers. And so the company CEO, Joe Spicer, said that the algorithm shift, which was designed to tamp down content that's consumed passively and would emphasize posts from your friends and family, took out 75% of Little Things' organic traffic and took away its profit margins. And so in his memo to his staff, he said, on February 27th, Little Things will be permanently closing its doors. It comes after 8 years of starting as an e-commerce company and then 4 years ago as Little Things. I've watched a ragtag group of talented, hardworking individuals create one of the largest and most emotional brands on Facebook. So many of you have become superstars in the social media space. It's incredible. I've never felt so proud and blessed to be part of such an amazing group of people, but it pains me to have to write this and hang up our hat. There are only so many hits a digital media company can absorb in this day and age, and we just exceeded ours. I mean, on the one hand, that's an awfully nice letter to the staff, but what's sad about it is that they hung their hat on Facebook's platform, and they ultimately were bitten by it. Same way that so many companies that, became part of Twitter's API, and then Twitter took it away. And, that is what happens if you don't concentrate on your own space.
I agree. So I don't think Facebook did something bad. I think Facebook did what Facebook's going to do. Just as Twitter, who did I just complained about, is going to do what they're going to do or they have to do. And it's incumbent upon you, and it was incumbent upon them to have a plan in place to not have to be dependent solely on one source for your
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's sad, but you should have thought of it. It's like, it's not like the information isn't out there, and so
they're just one example. There are scores of companies that have, done the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be scores more, frankly.
You take advantage of the traffic while they're emphasizing some aspect of the algorithm, whatever. Take advantage of it while you can, but ultimately build your own audience, own your own audience, have their email addresses, and then you won't be in that spot. So we've said it over and over again. We'll say it again, I'm sure, sometime in the future. So this is not nearly as sad or as this kind of funny, actually. It's in worse because it's kind of WTF kind of thing. But this is from an Associated Press article. The Unicode Consortium released, as we discussed earlier, their proposed images for 157 new emojis that are going to be made available this year. But some Maine residents took umbrage, emoji activists, if you will, that the lobster emoji's 8 legs was anatomically incorrect. That the lobster actually has 10 legs, so they should change the lobster emoji to make it anatomically correct.
I'm sure that's going to happen.
Which the Unicode Consortium relented. They caved. And they actually, they released a new lobster emoji, so it's anatomically correct. Well, of course they should. They also released a skateboard emoji that was revised for some reason, and a DNA emoji that was revised for some reason. Maybe the I don't know, the strands weren't correct. I don't know enough about DNA to know what would be wrong with it.
Strands, yeah. Is that all your bad news?
It is, yes.
Okay, that brings us to shiny new objects. A lot of us, including me, are addicted to our social media feeds. And so this is an app called Feedlist, and it takes the news feed out of social media. What I find so interesting about it is its 21-year-old inventor, Ryan Orbach, is on his 3rd company. He won an Apple Design Award when he was 16 years old. And, basically you download this and then your feed does not run on your phone. And you have a chance to think about other things besides your addiction.
I saw that. I thought it was clever, but the things that are most valuable to this kid is Messenger and events. Events? Really?
Yeah, really. Well, he's 21.
Yeah, I guess.
About which I must say something. The other night, I went to a seminar by a company called #Paid, which is an incredibly clever company. And the speakers were all influencers. They were Instagram and basically Instagram influencers who work with brands. And it was a fascinating evening, at which I was old enough to be everybody's mother, but I had a great time and they had great sushi. And so I was talking to the president of the company. And I said, I'm old enough to be your mother. And he said, well, you got to tell me what your skincare regimen is then.
That's nice. Yeah, those Instagram influencers, I think that stuff's going to end pretty soon because Facebook wants a cut of that action.
Well, yeah,
they're making money without Facebook taking.
They have agents. They're agents. This agency is their agent, and I mean, all of that makes sense. You have people who have hundreds of thousands of followers. They should be making money for that. So these people came along and said, "We'll be your agent. We'll take a cut. We'll get you brands." And now it's like an industry. It's fascinating.
Yeah. So mine is actually an article by Mike Caulfield, who has the very clever Twitter account of Holden Caulfield, for all you literary fans out there. So anyway, this is how to, it's in this era of fake news, it's incumbent upon us each individually to not spread fake news. So this is an article about how to fact check an article in 30 seconds. He has a video on it, actually. Basically, if you come across something, you select the headline, copy it, search on it. Usually the headline matches up with a press release. If you find a press release, then match the story with the release to make sure they're the same fundamental information. Search Wikipedia for the site address. Find the Wikipedia article for the organization for that site. Make sure it's a real organization, and then check the web. Make sure the web address matches, and that's it. So it doesn't apply to everything, but it's a good standard operating procedure for checking fact checking articles. Do you got another one, Bill?
Yeah, it's a good bullshit finder. Yes, I do have another one, and I love this one. Google Chrome has something called Google Chrome Song Maker, and you make a song by clicking notes on the grid, and then you share your song with the link, and you can use a MIDI keyboard, or you can sing a note into your mic. I really love that.
Does it have auto-tune?
Auto-tune, you mean to make sure you're singing in?
Yes.
No. You can also, no, you can sing off key. That's the part I like. But you can also use your computer keys, and you press the arrow keys to move enter and backspace, and add and remove notes, and the space bar to play. And it's just so much fun. It's part of their Google experiments, you know, and they're always doing things like that. But this one's such fun. Cool. And it's beautifully designed too. I mean, the look of it is nice.
Well, another Google tool. This is they have an ad experience report tool. Now, they also just released in Google Chrome, updated to natively include an ad blocker. So if you're running ads on your website, you'll want to run your website through this tool to make sure it doesn't run afoul of any of the new guidelines, so that your ads are actually displayed. So it's a feature of Google's Webmaster Tools console. Your site needs to be verified through the Google Webmasters tool. Obviously, you need to be running ads on your site. And the ad experience report is designed, it's basically designed to identify ads that violate the Better Ads standards by the Better Ads Consortium, something like that. I don't know, some organization that's probably you get a lot of industry support. Basically, advertisers are trying to have better ads so they don't kill the industry. It might be too late.
We don't ignore them, you know. I mean, that's really what they need. I have another tool for Google, but I'm going to wait until next week because it's we're Googling too much. So where does that take us?
You got a project, BL.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Fun Walkers, my funny license plates for mobility devices, is going to be featured in a national gift guide on Father's Day and Mother's Day. As soon as I have a link, I'll let you know, but that's really kind of exciting and should help my little startup.
Very cool. Very cool. Fantastic. Let's wrap this up then. Search versus social traffic. This is related to your story about the little publishing company that got wiped out by Facebook. Google was the top. This is from Shareaholic, a Shareaholic survey. Google was the top overall traffic referrer for the year and owned a 36.82% share of visits during the second half of 2017. But while Google's share of visits was up more than 7 percentage points between the second half of 2016 and the second half of 2017, Facebook dropped 12.7% during the same time frame. And even with a double-digit drop, Facebook remained the top social network for share of visits in 2017. But obviously, they've changed their algorithm, and so traffic visits from Facebook are down precipitously. There's a chart that shows basically the comparison between search and social, and we'll put that in the show notes so you can see it.
Interesting. Google's still the top. That's kind of amazing.
Everybody searches.
Yeah, everybody does. So that brings us to the end of episode 219 of the Beyond Social Media Show, and we'll have links to everything we talked about on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com/219. And David Erickson is online at Twitter. He is D. Erickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which should be on your must-read list. On YouTube, he's eStrategy. And I am BL Ochman. On Twitter, I'm at What's Next. I blog at What's Next Blog. I'm on YouTube as What's Next Blog. And my website is blochman.com. And my startup is funwalkers.com. The Beyond Social Media Show is beyondsocialmediashow.com on the web. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show. We're on iTunes, where we hope you will subscribe and leave us a review. We're on Stitcher, and we're on iHeartRadio. And on iHeartRadio, you can get us from, what am I supposed to say? Google, what?
iHeartRadio, you can get, you
Google
search for
Echo.
us on Echo. Search for us on Echo.
I'm not supposed to say her name. Okay,
Right,
got it.
yeah.
We'll be back next week at our regular time, which is Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we thank you for watching today.
Thanks for watching.